It's our second South Dakota recruit in the last 2 years, and we're excited about her. She's really long, versatile guard. I mean, I think Glenn listed her at 5'11", but when she came to a couple games last year, I was thinking that she's probably grown even since then. I don't know what they'll list her at this year, but her dad was a really good player. She missed last year with the knee. But I think she's a two-way player. She's a good athlete, defends really well. And I think she can just a good all-around player on offense too. Not a prolific scorer, but a good scorer, good passer, can put it on the floor. So we're excited about her. I hope she can get healthy and have a good senior year, because she didn't get to, Carly went to watch her play her first game last year. And I think it was literally first part of the first quarter, and she tore her knee. So kind of, that's about as bad as an opportunity, or about as bad a season as you can have. So, but I think she's going to be healthy if South Dakota can have a season.
Okay, we'll start with questions. We'll begin with John Niatawa and then Matt DeMarina second.
Yeah, just in terms of, I don't know if I've asked you about just the coronavirus and its impact on the recruiting world. Like, how different are things for you guys now? I know maybe it didn't necessarily affect this class, but how much of an impact has that had on your ability to find talent and then bring them to Creighton?
Right. Well, the evaluation piece has probably been the easiest. And everybody talks about recruiting as building relationships, and obviously you can do a lot of that over the phone and text, and my younger assistants can do it through social media, but there's still something about being on campus and having the potential student athlete come on campus and their family, and that's really been the most difficult thing. And I think for people who haven't been, both for the recruit and also for the coaches and the staffs, it is just the inability to kind of get to know each other by having them be on campus. Sorry. and to be around your players, because it's one thing to know that, the staff treats you in a certain way. Sorry. But you want our recruits to be around our players, because that's such a huge selling point for us is our current student athletes. So I think that's been the biggest piece. And for recruits, not to be able to have access to your current student athletes in the way that they would if they could come on campus. But the evaluation piece is not a lot different. I mean, we got to virtually recruit this summer, which actually parts of it I kind of enjoyed. Like I said, the phone and the texting and the social media hasn't changed, but I do think there's a little bit more panic in recruits, because they haven't been able to get out and get on as many campuses as they would have liked. I think I'm okay. Joe just ran and got me some water, but
okay. You can drink that while Matt asks his next question.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think I guess you had 5 kids in the 2020 class, and then obviously 2022 is going to be another big one. How much freedom, I guess, did you have to evaluate and try to find what you were looking to add, if anything at all, in the 2021 class, and how did Lexi kind of jump on your radar in terms of what boxes you were looking to check off?
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to talk about that before my coughing fit, but I think we were fortunate to have signed a big 2020 class, and we didn't necessarily intend to sign 5, but we did. And so that really made 21 a class where we weren't going to sign more than probably 2. So I think that was really impactful, because I think, making decisions on 21s would have been a little harder based on what we had and them making decisions on us. So, but to your point, 22 then becomes a bigger class because bigger both figuratively and literally. We need to sign primarily some guards, some ball handlers, some perimeter playmakers who can do some things for us. So, I think we've been able to be a little bit more specific about that because we have such I don't want to say a glut, it's probably the wrong word, but we have a lot of younger post players. And so we've been able to kind of just narrow it down to ball handling guards primarily for the class of 22. And we have one commitment currently, but we're probably looking at two more. And I feel like we need some quickness and some ball handling with those offers that we're going to eventually have. I will say that I do feel like we have a bigger team numerically and just size wise this year. And it's been different. We're a bigger, more physical team. I'll have to coach a little differently, but I'm excited to see what we can do. But with losing Tatum and Temmie, we're going to need to add some quickness and some ball handling in the class of 22.
Andy Kennedy, why don't you go next?
Hey, Flan.
Andy,
I hope you're doing well. I hope the family's well. And just this whole getting ready for a season, you don't even have the second part of your season, there's schedule out. I mean, there's so much uncertainty. How encouraged are you that you will play a full season right now? And two, how important is it for you guys to adapt and adjust to whatever's thrown your way? You've seen it in football and you've seen it in other sports this year. How important is it to have your guys be flexible?
Yeah, I mean, I guess with the first question, it depends on what Zoom I just finished or what conversation I just had, because sometimes you leave a Zoom or a conversation thinking, okay, yeah, we're gonna get close to a full season, and then 2 days later you have a conversation or you're on a Zoom and you're like, oh man, it doesn't look good. Today I think I'm hopeful today. I had a conversation with Ras this morning, and there's just so many hoops to jump through and so many bases to cover. Some of the stuff that he'll bring up will be like, wow, I never even thought about, like, how is a kid going to get home from a road trip if she tests positive in DC or Philadelphia or New York? Like, what do you do with that? But to the credit of athletic directors and presidents, I mean, and doctors, they've covered a lot of that stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a thing or two pop up, but for the most part, they've covered A, B, C, D, and E, and all the way to Y. So that part's good. I've been really impressed with our players' adaptability. I think, when you get older, you think when you're told a few months or 6 months or whatever, you kind of have a perspective of what that means. But I think when you're 18 to 20 to 22, that's a long time. And I just think they've done a really good job of handling it and, kind of just appreciating the day to day and being around their teammates. And I think the idea of being without their friends for so long in the spring and summer makes them grateful to be back, even with all the restrictions and all the protocols and practicing in masks. And, I give them a lot of credit because I think they've done a terrific job. And maybe they complain about it when they go back to their room and when they leave the gym, but they haven't shown that when they've been around the coaches and in a practice setting or a workout setting.
You guys practice in masks, obviously. Will you coach in a mask?
I think I will. I think as of now, I will. I think it's funny that football coaches wear them, but then when they want to yell and all those droplets are coming out, then they pull them down. It's like, wait a minute, that's when you need it up the most, is when you're going to yell. But I think we're going to coach in masks.
But isn't that tough to communicate with them when the mask is up? Or do you have one of those clear ones that you can see your lips move? Or would you do a shield or whatever, the Andy
Yeah,
Reid
I think it is difficult. I think that's, as much as it's practicing in masks is about, oxygen intake and too much carbon dioxide. I think it's a communication thing too. Like we talk, okay, you know, what was our communication on that particular, how we're defending that ball screen? And it's like, it's hard to hold a kid accountable. It's hard to know if your freshmen are communicating. So I think that's the second piece that maybe doesn't get talked about as much when you're playing in a mask is, yeah, it affects you running up and down and getting the kind of wind that you need. But also I just think there's a communication gap that maybe you're not going to have. But as far as coaching, I don't know if they're going to let you drop it to coach or not here and there, because obviously people are doing it.
We'll go ahead back to Matt.
Thanks. I was gonna say, how do you don't communicate enough anyway, so that you're always gonna be criticizing that no matter what. I think, I guess from a standpoint of trying to get your team where you like it to be on day one normally, and I know historically you've never felt great about where you are going into game one, but how on pace are you right now? If you can compare it to years past, to be ready for where you will feel a little bit comfortable about what you look like here in 2 weeks when you get to play Drake.
Yeah. Well, I feel better than I did a month ago based on just not having any access really to our freshmen in the summer and having the early fall be kind of as bumpy as it was. I think we got into October and, there just weren't a lot of knowns, but I feel way better now based on having just been around our freshmen and our sophomores, and to see how much they've improved really. Our sophomores from last year, but our freshmen just in the last couple months, their ability to kind of grab things and improve. And then, Tatum and Temmie, I think, have done a really good job of leading. Tatum's made a stride there. Temmie's been a good on-court communicator and really good practice energy. And Tatum has been pretty good, but I think her confidence level is higher, and her ownership in that leadership piece has been greater than it's been. So I feel good about that. And I think, obviously we're going to miss Jalen a ton. But I do think we've got some kids in our freshman sophomore class who can score the ball. I don't know that they can do all the things that Jalen did, and certainly they won't be as consistent as she was, but I do think that they can give us a little more offense than right away than maybe I had thought.
All right. Well, Coach Flanery, thank you for your time. We'll wrap this up and resume here with Coach McDermott in about 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Flan.
Thank you.